Hello and welcome back to Pixel Street Videos, where today me and Will are here, so you know it's going to be about Halo. If you couldn't tell by the template here, where it literally says Halo above our name, and how it says what we're talking about. And today we're going to be talking about our first impressions of the Halo Infinite technical preview. Will, we finally got to play Halo.
It's been a long 6 years. Well, long 4 years since they announced it.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack, and
Mhm.
there's a lot to unpack, and I feel like we didn't get all that much in the grand scheme of things.
We did and we didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gotten so little info since, well, hell, even the July event last year, that pretty much any news is big news at this point. So
Yeah.
even just the three maps and then the different difficulties of bots was huge. Let us know exactly what the state of the game is actually at right
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I want to just kind of break it down, right? So let's give like a synopsis of what the tech preview was. Day 1 was Thursday, Thursday night. It invites started going out,
now.
and
Yeah.
that had bot difficulty level of Marine, which I never even
Mhm.
played because I didn't get
Nope.
in the tech until into the preview until like the next evening.
Mhm.
Well, I got my download, what was it, Friday morning? I just didn't get to
Right.
play until after work Friday. So there
Yeah, I'd
was,
started the download right before work, and then I got home and I was finally able to start it.
yeah, so there was that difficulty with the map Live Fire there, which is we'll talk about maps in a little bit. And then Friday night they upped the difficulty of the bots to ODST and also then included recharge into the playlist. So there was two maps and the ODST difficulty, and then the third day, technically being Saturday, they then upped the bot difficulty. No,
They upped
wait,
to Spartan on
that
the
was
last day.
that was on Sunday. Okay, so I had my days mixed up. So Saturday they added the second map recharge. Sunday they added the third map Bazaar and upped the bot difficulty. Is that right?
Mhm. That sounds about right.
And then also Sunday night we got a little taste of 4v4 PvP Arena Slayer. And I want to hear what you think about that in a little bit. We'll get to that at the end, towards the end, because I just want to go through it all. Um, and yeah, there was that, and then there was also was it called the firing range? What was that? I didn't really do it.
It it was kind of like a training ground
Oh, so it
for.
was it was called the Academy Weapon Drills.
Mhm. You get, it's basically like a, imagine a time trial for a race, but you're getting scored based off of how quickly and efficiently you get kills with certain weapons, and you can complete challenges that way. At least that's what it looked like, and they might expand upon that even further.
Yeah, I think it was a great way. I didn't do it, but from everybody that did it, they said it was a great way to learn how the weapons worked.
Get a good feel
So
for it before running into matchmaking.
yeah, that you could use it to warm up, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, let's just go through. I want to start. Let's talk about the three maps that we saw, right? Um,
Mhm.
so the first map we saw was Live Fire, which was basically based out of the Academy, the Avery J. Johnson Academy of Military Science,
Mhm.
which is pretty awesome. You know,
Great callback.
yeah,
And
great
it's
callback to
about time
Johnson.
they, you know, recognized other characters pre 343 era.
Yes, yes, I agree. What do you think of this map overall?
I honestly, and this is going to be true for a lot of the maps that we talk about, I loved how it flowed. I felt a lot of the multiplayer maps so Halo 5 and a lot of the stuff that they added in with the Forge maps in Halo 5, they just it very much followed that middle path, left path, right path aesthetic where well, whether it be asymmetrical or symmetrical, that was usually the way that those maps ran. This map, and actually all three, were very different in that, and I felt that they flowed very well. But Live Fire was honest. Well, Live Fire. I'm going to say Live Fire was my second favorite. We'll get
Yeah.
to my first a little bit later, but
Yeah, no,
um,
Live Fire was my second favorite for sure.
mhm,
In I don't know if that's because, like, I played it so much more than the other ones just because it was, like, the whole first
right.
day, and that's when I mainly
Mhm,
play it, that's the most time I put into this preview was that first day, but, yeah, it was my second favorite, like, I agree with what you're saying, like, I think the layout of the map was great. The only downside, I think, is that the bots kinda took it a lot away from it because at the beginning of every match, the bots would always rush the same way,
yeah.
so it was very predictable in that sense, but
Mhm,
yeah, you have your main heavy hitter power weapon in the middle, whether
mhm.
it be the sniper or the
The
what is that?
skewer.
The skewer. There you go.
Mhm,
Um, yeah. Let's go on to the second map they added, Recharge.
mhm.
This map reminded me a lot of a Halo 5 map. Um, Go ahead and talk about it. I'm gonna look it up.
I think I know which map you're talking about. It was very much a mixture of the what is that map from Halo 5? Now that's gonna bother me. But that one specific map, the map Countdown from Halo Reach and Rat Race from Halo 1. It was very vertical. A lot of different pathways leading off towards either different corridors or bridges that lead over top of, well, that little recharge arc reactor type thing that was at the very bottom. Um, it I think that was my if I had to rate them, that was my least favorite, which means Bizarre was my favorite. But I think it's because of how corridor based that one felt. It felt more claustrophobic, I guess. Hard to
Yeah.
explain, but it flowed a lot better than I expected it to, but not as well as Live Fire or Bizarre did. Still a lot of fun. That one was more fun to use the grapple shot because of the verticality.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. This was my least favorite out of the 3 personally, just because I don't know, the verticality just I don't it doesn't do it for me. I don't know
Mhm.
why it is. Like, I loved that map when I had the BR and the bots were too
Mhm.
dumb to, like, come find me, and I was
Right.
just
Just
I
sit up
would
in the
just
corner.
yeah, I would just stand up in the corner and shoot at them and throw grenades, but, yeah, I think that was my least favorite map out of the 3. Um yeah, like you said, it was very vertical. They had the grav hammer. That's when they added the grav hammer in that
Yes.
map, and you could go off and get that. Jumping back with it was kind of sketchy though, because it was always just like a little too like I never fell jumping back onto the ledge, but
Mhm.
you could tell that if like you jump a little too much to the left or right when you're trying to get back to that ledge, you're gonna miss it.
Mhm.
So I could see like in the heat of battle PvP, if somebody's shooting at you when you get it, you just miss your jump and fall off. But
Mhm. High risk, high reward. You gotta want it.
exactly. Um, so yeah, yeah, that map is all right, but not my favorite of the 3. It's worth noting too. All 3 of these maps, they're I'd say they're probably the same size, right? It's just no,
Roughly,
actually,
yeah.
Bizarre I think was a little larger than the other 2
Bizarre was bigger, yeah.
in my mind,
But
but yeah, they're all very much 4v4 maps. We didn't see anything
mhm.
that could potentially go into a big team match or anything else like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, the third map that was introduced, Bazaar, I think was my favorite map. It was very symmetrical
Mhm.
on both sides. Um, but I don't know. Something about this map. This is when they introduced the Spanker, which is the rocket
Mhm.
launcher. And if you got that thing right off the start, you were starting that match with 5 kills and no deaths.
You're right.
Like, no questions asked. Now, that,
Especially because the bots kept going to the same damn
yes,
place.
especially because the bots, because you would pick up that rocket launcher and they were always right below you when you
Mhm.
got the rocket launcher. So you would just shoot down
They
right away.
always rushed, what was it, active camo right there at the bottom of it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, my favorite map by far. It gives me very much
Mhm.
CS:GO vibes. That
Mhm.
one, like I've only played, a few hours of CS:GO, but there's that one CS:GO map that like everybody knows that has like the doors
The doors
halfway
that are like yeah,
open,
right? Yeah.
and this map literally has that on both sides of the map.
Mhm.
Um,
Very, very reminiscent of Counter-Strike and a little bit of New Mombasa thrown in there. There was actually a screenshot I saw online because there was an area of that map where they had the palm tree growing up in the building or like in the atrium part of the building, and you had the stairs to go up on the side, and it was exactly laid out just like the opening area of the second level of Halo 2, and I honestly blew my mind when I saw that picture because I never made the connection. And I remember being in that room and shooting and killing people in that room. Did not make the connection, but very reminiscent of Halo 2, which is still by far my favorite
Yeah.
Halo.
And that's the first thing I thought of when I played the map, especially because we had just played those missions, a few
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago in Halo 2. Shout out to
Yep.
our Countdown to Infinite series. Go check that
Right.
out. Um, but yeah, my favorite map of the three by far. Something weird though, like it's been posted on Reddit and stuff I've seen. I brought it up to Will when we were in the game. Like, how tall are the Spartans that we're playing as? Because I was standing next to a door, and the door was easily 3 to 4 feet taller than I was. So
Mm-hmm.
it like how tall are our Spartans, or how tall are the people that are living in this space? Because
I mean,
there's a lot.
technically, there's nothing that says that particular level was based on Earth. It could have
Yeah.
just been an outer colony where people evolved a little bit taller, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows indeed. But yeah, that kind of summarizes the three maps. Let's go in. Let's talk about the bots, Will. These bots are insanely good for bots to play PvP against.
Right. When they announced that bots were going to be a part of Halo, I honestly I got a little worried. Because there's not been many shooter games where I felt the bots felt intelligent. I think Gears of War
Yes.
5 is the only game that I've played where I felt like these like if nobody told me that they were bots, I would have believed that they were people. And
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Gears 5
mhm,
is I think the other Gears games have put bots in your place, but
mhm,
Gears 5 really nailed it.
yeah,
Um in my mind of what I've played as being the pinnacle, the standard of what you should strive for when you're adding bots in
mhm.
this play style into a game. But yeah, another thing to note, if you get 2 to 3 hits on these bots, they're going to launch a grenade perfectly at your feet.
Their grenade accuracy is a little too good. Like you just if you're passing by and there's just a sliver of line of sight between you and them, they will lob that grenade up in the fucking stratosphere and it will land at your feet and explode and you will die. That was the only thing that really drew me away from or brought me out of that immersion is like how accurate the grenades. Everything else felt really fluid. That and the fact that they all ran to the same spot
Yeah.
at the beginning of the
I
match.
mean,
Like
like
that's
it's a bit much, but if you think about it,
mhm,
like I think that they did it in terms of like a pro team strategy. Like if you were
true.
playing HCS, and you had a squad of four, you're gonna push for the
Mhm,
rocket launcher right at the beginning of the match, right? All four of you.
exactly.
But they
Yeah.
were just a little too huddled. Like they would like you could throw a
Mhm,
grenade and hit all four of them.
yeah.
Um, so they do still have some of that bodiness to them.
Mhm,
I don't know. That's not even a word. I'm just making shit up. But in terms of like, there would be times when I'd shoot at a guy, and then like they would just like
mhm.
look up at the sky. It's like, what's going on with you, man?
Right, or they would
You
just
all right?
randomly crouch and then start moving to
Yeah,
the left like,
yeah.
okay."
But another thing I noticed is if there was a bot with his back turned towards you running the other way and you just
Mhm,
zoomed in on your scope at him, he would turn around. So that's
mhm,
another like one of those things where it's like only a bot's going to notice that you're aiming down the sights
mhm.
at him. You know what I mean? Like a human
Yep.
player is not going to know something like
Mhm,
that. So there's little things here and there. That being said, the bots got progressively harder as the weekend went on, and I could tell that they were better, but
mhm.
the score of the match didn't necessarily reflect that.
Yeah.
I feel like all weekend the bots were just if you and your team were trying to beat the bots and you lost to them, please DM me because we need to talk about you being able to play any
We're
video
gonna run
game.
some drills and we're gonna help you get better. But no, I mean you're right. I can't tell you how many times we got a steaktacular. Um,
It was every game.
yeah, just
I'd
about.
I think it was every game. I don't remember not
The
hearing that.
first defeat I got was during the PvP part.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get to that in a little bit here, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's the first time I heard the announcer say defeat.
right.
Um, But yeah, the bots, they're good. I think they need to do some tweaking on them for sure, but it's definitely
Oh
a
yeah.
great way if are trying to go, deep into ranked game modes and your squad
Mhm.
wants to, practice
Yes.
without having to actually play a ranked match or,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
I'm just excited to finally have filled spots on my team because that's been the biggest issue with the MCC is people who have been quitting in just large numbers.
It's hit or
It
miss though,
seems, yeah,
because like when I play SWAT, if somebody quits, my team has a severe advantage over the other team
true.
because we only have 3
You
players
have
and
more targets.
we have more targets than
Yep.
them. Like the number of times that I've won a SWAT match and 2 or 3 people on my team have quit and
Mhm.
I'm just, cleaning shop because I can just stand in a corner and shoot everything I see. It's
Mhm.
like it's a huge advantage. So in that
True.
sense, I would not want a bot to fill it. I wonder if a bot's gonna fill a spot in ranked though. I cannot imagine that it
Ooh.
would.
Well, you get penalized a little bit more for quitting out of ranked. So my assumption is no,
Yeah, I would
but
assume no.
we won't
But
know until
but
launch.
um I guess let's just get into the matchmaking of it all then, since we're talking about quitting matches. There were
Mhm.
times, obviously the game's a little buggy. It's a 2-month-old build.
Mhm.
The first time they flipped the switch on for, 100,000 plus players, there were times when I didn't get in a match or Will didn't get in a
Mhm.
match, but everybody else in our squad did. It did a
Right.
great job of filling that spot with a bot, and then as soon as somebody, whether it be Will getting relaunching his game and getting back in, or a random that had queued up, it did
Mhm.
really well at just filling that spot with somebody, whether it be a
Mhm.
bot or another player that was matchmaking to play against bots. So I honestly I think the matchmaking went well
I think it did
in that
too.
sense.
Aside from the server errors, I think you're absolutely right. The aside from the bugs, the game ran really well.
Yeah,
Um, but no, you're absolutely right. The menu system I felt was a bit clunky. When I first booted it up, I felt it was incredibly hard to navigate because there was a lot of different buttons that did different things within the menu and within the sub menus. What was it? Pressing Y when you were in the battle pass brought up the
yeah.
challenges, or the other way around, or
No,
something like
so
that. Like,
so if you're in the main menu, I think Y brought up the battle pass. No,
I think you're right.
or no Y no. So Y brought up the challenges from from the top down.
Yes.
It brought the challenges down, and then you had to hit A on battle pass to go to the battle pass. And then when
Mhm.
you were in there, you had to hit X to go to consumables,
Yes,
which
that's what it
was
was. To get
weird.
your XP, double XPs or something like
Yeah,
that.
to
Yeah.
pop your double XP boosts and stuff.
Mhm.
Which yeah, I agree. I think that's a little clunky, especially
Mhm.
considering like in like MCC for the past what 8 years now. Man, that game's old, right? 8 years, 20.
2014,
Oh,
so
14.
7 years.
Okay,
Yep.
7 years. Between that and Halo 5, right? When you're in the main menu, you want to hit start to go to customization and all that stuff. So I don't
Mhm.
understand why they didn't just stick with that and, keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, what were we talking about? Battle Pass stuff? You want
Matchmaking.
matchmaking,
Matchmaking,
yeah.
well, I kinda tied it in with the menu, being able to get into matchmaking and getting stuck in the menu, while it happened to me a lot,
It did
where
happen
you
to you
guys
more
would
than
get
anybody.
into a game and I mean, it still said I was queued into the game. At the bottom of the screen, it was, saying, like, "Waiting to join match," or, "Game full," "Queued up," or something along those lines. So, I mean, the game was trying, and again, it's well, like you said, it was a 2-month-old build. Some of these bugs, they've already addressed,
Oh
especially
yeah.
when it comes to the matchmaking side of it. At least, unless it was an actual game crashing bug, at least it did either when your game ended, put us back into a fire team, or it kicked one of the bots out and put me in. Um, like there's a lot there that is a functional system, but obviously touch up work needs done. Some of the work has already been done. Um, I've already seen messages online saying that be prepared for the next flighting when it actually launches. Go ahead and make sure you're signed up properly. for all the people
Yeah.
that weren't able to get in this first time around, which tells us they're probably already getting their feedback from this one, applying that to their current build, and then going to go ahead and deviate away from that, make that into its standalone flight, and we start all over again in what, 2 months? You think?
Yeah,
End of
I don't
September?
know. I don't know. Like it all depends on when this game comes out, which is a completely different conversation that
Oh
we could
yeah.
spend another half hour talking about. But let's move in and just talk about each weapon that was in it, right?
Yes.
So each map you got in, you spawned with the MA40 AR, which is just the assault
Mhm.
rifle. Sorry, that was a good burp. I
Right.
thought I thought that weapon felt great. I don't think that there's anything they should change to that gun.
I mean, everything about it was fantastic. They addressed all of the graphical issues from last year's July event.
Yep.
It didn't look flat. It had texture to it. The actual little ammo counter on there was visible. Um, Proper reflections and lighting on it. The actual functionality of the weapon was great. I've never been a big fan of precision weapon starts because I feel like that gives everybody too much of an advantage, especially on a small arena-based map, kind of like what we were playing on. So I
Yeah.
feel like making the precision weapons, whether it be the battle rifle or, I mean, technically the pulse carbine could be construed as a ranged weapon. Um, but putting those on the map allows for better gameplay as opposed to giving everybody like almost sniper level skills like with the BR. I've never been a
Yeah.
big fan of BR starts. And that's why I don't normally play a lot of ranked games in older, whether it be Halo 5 or MCCs, because I feel like that's too much of an advantage for everybody. So I've always loved, whether it be like Halo 2's SMG starts or sometimes in Halo 3's AR starts, but having the AR and pistol start was, in my opinion, a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah,
Sandwich.
yeah, I agree. Nobody feels OP right at the start, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But so yeah, let's talk about the MK50 sidekick, which is the pistol that you start off with each match. I think it feels great. It doesn't feel too powerful, but at the same time, it doesn't feel too weak.
Mhm.
You can kill, I think, 2 people max with whatever rounds you have.
Mhm.
When you spawn, obviously, if you kill somebody, you could pick up their ammo and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they did a perfect job making this exactly what the name says, a sidekick, like
Right.
a side
It's
weapon to your main weapon.
a healthy mix of Halo 2's Magnum and the Halo 1 Magnum. Like it's powerful and it sounds powerful, but it's not the three-shot headshot from
Yeah.
across Hang 'em High distance level. Like it's
Yeah.
accurate. And I can't, I think I got killed by at least when we were fighting the bots more from their pistols than anything else. Like they
Yeah.
have some accuracy.
Yeah.
But it felt, a lot of the weapons felt good. Especially, well, the human weapons felt good. We'll talk about some of the Covenant
Yeah.
weapons here in a minute.
Um, Worth noting that in the Halo Waypoint thing, they did a whole cosplay like guide, I guess you could say, just talking about
Yeah.
what to wear. And one of the things is that they said that the holster for the sidekick is also the holster for like some other pistol, the Magnum. And so people are thinking that the Halo 1 Magnum is going to be in this game somehow.
I It would be silly if they didn't. And I mean they can put it as a power weapon for all I care, but huge miss opportunity if they don't.
Yeah. Moving on, let's talk about the BR-75, which is the battle rifle.
Mhm. So I actually I saw a little video on this on YouTube where they compared it to Halo 3's battle rifle as far as uh, the number of shots it actually takes to kill someone, whether it be headshot or body shot, and the allotted time at its fastest you could shoot it to be able to kill someone. It's eerily similar to Halo 3, which that's when they switched from hit detection to projectile, if I remember correct. Which felt more like a weapon should, whereas Halo 2 was, as long as they were within the reticle, like it was a hit. Um, but it they I how do I want to say it? Like they toned the speed of almost everything back. Halo 5 had way too much speed, advanced movement. the time to get kills and with the weapons in Halo 5 was very quick, and they catered to esports with that. And I feel like a lot of this was heavily toned back, but not like slowed down to a point where it would not be fun. Like it
Yeah.
felt good to use. I feel like it was still a little bit more powerful than some previous iterations. Maybe it's just the way the game sandbox felt, maybe, or the way it sounded and the way it actually the hit sounds on the other players. I can't explain it, but I felt like it felt more powerful, but it's still they slowed it down. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely see what you're saying about the it being very similar to the Halo 3 VR. First of all, it looks just like the Halo 3 or
Mhm.
Halo 2 VR, which is pretty
Mhm.
great. They didn't really change too much about it in terms of those
Yeah, the
models.
art style is on point. They
Yeah.
nailed that on the head.
But yeah, like in terms of like scoping, I feel like in most games, most Halo games, when I have the BR, I use the scope a lot. But in this game,
Mhm.
I found I never use it. And I don't know why that is. I just
It
found it to be
could be
easier to
in
use
part
without.
right. Well, I mean, with the bots and their accuracy, if you were aiming in, even if you were, holding down that trigger, it
Yeah,
always brought you back out of it. I mean, they've always done that with the weapons, but I think in what you're
is
experiencing
the
is
bots.
the bots and the controls. I mean, Halo 5 had the left trigger to aim down sights, and this is kind of like that, where they've weapons that don't have scopes, they just do that little visor zoom in thing. It's not
Yeah,
actually aim down sights. Healthy mix between the two. I always got this feeling of Call of Duty. If you've got the left trigger be your aim, I've always been left trigger is either your
grenade.
grenade or what was it in I'm spacing Halo 4's was Halo 4's trigger grenade? I don't remember. I know
I
they
honestly
changed it
don't know.
heavily for anyway, nobody plays Halo 4 anymore anyway. Um but yeah, no, I think I know what you mean by like it's just you don't want to zoom in. It still has the accuracy, and I felt that was true on a lot of the zoom capabilities. You had that little extra accuracy, but it wasn't OP. It's still usable firing from the hip, giving both sides of the spectrum. The OG Halo fans, where things needed to be slowed down, make it more like Halo 2. But then you also have the Halo 5 crew, where they're like it needs to be exactly like Halo 5, have all of that same mechanics. It was a good healthy mix, I felt.
Yeah. Let's move on just to speed things up.
Yeah, sorry.
The CQS-48 Bulldog, which is the shotgun
Mhm.
we saw. My personal thoughts, I loved playing with it. I just think it needs a damage buff. I think it's too weak for a shotgun. And it's
Firing
kind
from the
of
hip is very weak. Yes.
yeah, and it almost seems like I don't know if it was like a distance thing or what it was, but like I would shoot somebody and it just wouldn't register a hit, and then I would shoot again and it would register. I don't know. Could just be like the spread of it. I'm not entirely sure.
Possibly.
What are your thoughts on the bulldog?
I that was a weapon I kept going back to because at very first use, I had this feeling like I'm not gonna like this weapon. It's too far away from what we're used to as a shotgun in Halo. But as I played with it more and learned how to use that specific weapon within this sandbox, I ended up liking it a little bit more. You got to know when to do the aim down sights and when to do the hip fire. Um, and I feel that kind of like timing of the shotgun in Halo 2 and Halo 3. You had to hit that at that exact moment for it to be a very useful weapon. And I felt a very similar feeling to that. You had to know when to use aim down sights versus when to use hip firing. And if you can nail that, it can be a very deadly weapon. Even at good mid range, which shotguns should not be good mid range weapons, but if you can use it right, it can be.
Yeah. That being said, I hope they add another shotgun to the game.
Mhm,
Like, like the Halo 2 shotgun. Like I
mhm.
love that fucking gun. Moving on, the Needler. Halo Classic, the Needler. I personally loved it. I don't know what it is. I loved it.
The
It
the
it
mechanics felt smooth. It did.
it felt smooth. I think that it shoots a lot slower than the Needler has in the past, which
Mhm,
makes it, harder to get kills with it. You have to put more bullets into somebody to get a kill. But against the
mhm.
bots, man, I was wrecking shop with this Needler.
Yeah.
So I really hope
The
that trans
projectiles were definitely slower, but I felt like the
yes.
rate of fire was faster. My biggest complaint was the sound. It
Yes, I agree.
did not sound like the Needle.
Nope. And I brought it up to you immediately that like it
Mhm,
doesn't have that like ping sound to it. Like it
mhm,
doesn't sound like a crystal's being shot from a cannon. It
mhm.
sounds like an SMG, like any
It sounded a
SMG.
lot
I
like
don't
the
know.
spike rifle from Halo 3, actually, or the
A little
spiker,
bit.
whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Needler, it's the Needler, man. It's here to
Mhm.
stay. Moving on, the VK-78 Commando. So this gun, the first few times I used it, I didn't realize that it was fully automatic. I thought it was
Oh,
like
really?
I thought it was like a DMR almost.
I can see that. It looks like the DMR. It
Yeah,
really
it
does.
looks like a beefier DMR, but um, yeah, I mean it's all right. And definitely, I think this might be my least favorite weapon. Second least favorite. Second. We'll get to my
I
least
think they
favorite
need
weapon
to
in a bit.
tone down the recoil on it, which
Yeah,
I can see why they did because it well, kinda like the Retro Lancer in Gears 3. It had massive recoil, but when you hit your shots, they hit hard. And I think that's what they were going for, maybe.
it maybe, but it still when I hit guys, it didn't feel like they were that hard of hits.
Mhm.
I feel like it still took like 4 to 5 shots to get them, but who knows? Moving on, S7 Sniper. I was not a fan. I was hot garbage with this gun, and I think that there's like no aim assist at all with the
There was
sniper, at
very
least.
little aim assist in the game. I
Yeah,
felt it was very analog for all of it.
yeah. And that goes with the sniper. I
Mhm.
maybe got 2 or 3 kills with the sniper all weekend. I was avoiding using the sniper at all costs just because it was hard.
Mhm.
Um, but the sniper's a sniper, you know. Moving on, plasma pistol. What do you think about the plasma pistol and Halo Infinite?
It, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't as useful as previous iterations. It I felt like it took longer to do the full charge, and when you did have the full charge, the tracking on it was not good enough to actually land the shots. Um, I was trying to run around with the noob combo there for a little while to see how that felt, see how quickly you can pop off that shot, switch to the BR, and knock them out. And I feel like either sometimes it just wouldn't register or their shields wouldn't drop entirely. Maybe I wasn't fully charging it because I did notice there was a little ring on the reticle
Yeah,
that like it charged up. You had to wait for it to get full, but it felt like it wasn't tracking like it used to.
I have a few things about the plasma pistol. First and foremost, I think it took too long to charge it up all the way because
Mhm,
I was having that too, where I didn't want to run around with it charged because I didn't want to waste the battery for it, I guess.
mhm,
And by the time I would do it, I don't think it would be fully charged. And if I hit the enemy and then pulled out my other weapon, it wouldn't kill him, and I would just die.
mhm.
Um, the other issue I have is if you shoot the plasma pistol and the reticule's red, I think no matter what, it should track onto him. I think they got to
Yeah,
fix the tracking in this because there were too many times when the reticule was red. I fired my fully charged plasma pistol shot, and because they were running fast to to my left or something, it just hit the ground.
barely missed him or hit the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that they need to tweak it more to track more than what it was.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, moving on, my least favorite gun in the whole fucking thing, the Pulse Carbine. This weapon is hot garbage, Will. I don't know why anybody would use it. It is so fucking bad.
It it definitely got the bottom of my list as well. I that being said, I was able to get a good amount of kills with it, and I think it boiled down to learning its mechanics like the bulldog. But even when even when I felt like I was using it correctly, I like even the bots weren't using them. I don't think I ever saw a bot using the pulse carbine,
Yeah, I don't know if I did either. But
but it's
easily
you're,
the way
yeah.
I wish they would have brought back the real carbine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And
Like the
they
OG
might. I
one,
mean,
and
this is a
maybe they
very
will.
limited sandbox that they gave us. They didn't want to give us
Or
everything right off the bat.
or maybe make the pulse carbine so you can change the rate of fire so that it works as a pulse carbine
Yeah.
or a normal carbine. I don't know.
I I can
That
see it being a very powerful adversary in the campaign. Having a bunch of elites or brutes using that, especially because the projectiles did track, especially if you were zoomed in.
yeah,
I can see that being a pain to deal with on legendary, but in a multiplayer setting, it felt out of place.
yeah. Moving on, the Ravager. How much time did you spend using the Ravager, Will?
Just a little bit more than the pulse carbine, to be honest with you.
Really?
Uh,
I like the Ravager. How would you describe it? It's almost like a cannon of sorts that
it
shot goop. I don't
right.
know how else to explain it.
Um,
So you could shoot once, or you could charge it up. And if you charged it up, it kind of put like an area of effect on the ground, where
mhm.
or wall or whatever you shot it at. Um, but
It felt
apparent,
very similar to the incinerator from Halo
yeah,
4.
yeah, it did. But apparently they've already acknowledged that it is not doing as much damage as it should.
Mm.
So it should be like one of those main power weapons, like a
Mhm.
rocket launcher or something like that. So yeah, I think it is going to get a huge damage buff, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot more when that happens. Because
I
right
do
now,
like its mechanic where,
yeah,
you can shoot at the ground and actually block an area, with fire, and I'm sure once it gets the buff it needs, that, fire on the ground will be something you don't wanna cross,
yeah,
effectively changing the layout of the map for a very short period of time.
yes, yeah. Moving on, the Heat Wave. This is the gun that allowed you to aim vertically or horizontally
The
with
plasma cutter.
like 4 or 5 little balls that would shoot out and they would ricochet all
Mhm,
over the place. I found that I almost never used it in the horizontal setting. I always had it vertical, and that's probably because the bots were never like really together in like a
mhm,
corridor at all. So I would always just be like running up to them really close and shooting them like almost like a shotgun.
mhm. Long range shotgun with, well, ricochet rounds. I
Yeah.
loved it. I thought that was probably the most fun thing they've added to the sandbox, to be completely honest. Because the one time I did get a bank shot medal was I shot through the guy. The projectiles went through him, bounced off the wall, came back, hit him, and killed him. And I got the medal for getting the death off of a bounced shot. I don't
Nice.
remember if it was a vertical or horizontal cut, but I feel like that weapon has a lot of potential, especially for custom games. Um,
Yeah.
I can see like a Pong type of a game where there's like a wall between it. You have to bounce it off and get the other person to die or something. I don't know. I can see it being a great addition to custom game sandboxes.
Yeah, moving on, we got 2 more weapons, the next one
Mhm.
being the skewer. I was terrible with this gun, Will.
Absolutely no aim assist on that thing whatsoever.
None,
I
and
think I got
it's
1
very
kill.
very similar to the sniper where you
Mhm.
have to hit your target. And if
Yep.
anything, I think the skewer is harder to use because it's like a one-shot kill, right?
Yeah.
So they made it really hard to hit your target with it.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to see what happens when you shoot like a warthog with the skewer. Like, is this going to be
They
the next Spartan laser?
kind of. So they briefly showed that in the multiplayer debut on E3. Um, one of the big vehicle maps. The guy shot the skewer. It hit the warthog, and the warthog went flying. It started doing flips.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
I can see that being more anti-vehicle than anti-personnel.
Yeah, okay. So it makes sense. Like, I mean, it
Mhm.
was hard as shit to hit somebody with the Spartan laser at
Right.
times, so yeah. Last but not least, we have the Spanker, the SPNKR,
Hmm.
which is the rocket launcher, and it feels just as good as ever, man.
Hmm.
The sound design on that gun, it sounds so insanely powerful. It's crazy.
I would love to see the behind the scenes on how they recorded specifically that weapon.
Yeah, yeah, for real. It sounds amazing, and it's very
Mhm.
very
Well, I mean,
strong.
the sounds in a lot of the weapons are very crisp.
They are.
If you've got a good pair of headphones or good pair of speakers, you're probably in the same boat we are. We're in awe of the audio quality, even in just this beta testing build. Usually they dumb
Yeah.
these things down just a little bit so you can just deal with the actual mechanics and not get, true hi-fi sound.
Yeah. Let's move on. I want to talk about when they flipped the switch and gave us 2 hours of 4v4
Mm,
PvP. I'll briefly talk about what I did. I only was able to play one match because I was busy doing other stuff. But I played
mhm,
one match as soon as it came on. I lost the match, but it in like I literally just loaded in like 2 minutes after they announced, "Oh, it's there now. Go check it out." Break
mhm,
our shit, even more than you have been. And it found me a match immediately. Got into a game. Both teams were full, and we were just going at it, man.
mhm,
And I cannot believe that those servers worked as well as they did when they flipped that switch, because
mhm.
I thought for sure there were going to be more problems than there ended up
There
being.
were later on. There
Okay,
were
so
later
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. That I only played one match, so that's why I want to
I
hear what your thoughts are on it.
I tried. I think I entered into a total of 6 or 7 matches. I only completed two.
Really?
Uh, One of them was, I think, a game, like the game actually crashed. I don't think that was the servers issues themselves. So I got kicked back to the dashboard. Um, the other three, I got kicked back to the menu and got disconnected. I only
I
was able to
okay.
complete 2 matches.
I wonder if that is has something to do with your connection then, because
It could be
because I
something
was
IP related.
because I was watching streams and they were getting in and out of matches no problem, like playing the
Hmm.
full matches. And the fact that you were lagging out so often when we were queuing up against bots,
Hmm.
right? Maybe it's connected. Maybe it has something to do with your internet and your connection to their
Most of the
servers.
problems I had were while I was on my Series S, not my Series X.
I mean,
all
that
all
could
of
be
the
it too.
PvP issues now that I'm thinking about it, all of the PvP issues I had were while I was here at the desk on my Series S. My Series X, those first 2 days that we were playing when we weren't streaming, I had a lot less problems. And I think maybe the build was meant more specifically for the Series X than the Series S. It ran well enough. Who knows? It could have just been a coding error.
Could have been either way. You're moving soon, so doesn't matter. Your internet's all
Right.
going to change. Um, but yeah, I saw a lot of videos and stuff from that 2 hours they flipped it on, and
Hmm.
man, Halo is back. And
It
everybody,
Yes.
it seems like everybody is positive on what this technical preview was.
Hmm.
No, everybody kind of tempered their expectations on in terms of like bugginess and everything.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm just glad that we got Halo, man.
Man,
We were able to play it for a whole
it
weekend.
felt booting it up for the first time, it felt surreal. Like, holy crap,
Yeah,
this is actually happening
I
finally.
I agree. Um, I want to end by so I posted in the Pixel Street Discord the other day saying that me and you were gonna film our first impressions video and asked what questions people would have. T Zerky in the Discord said, "What games have your personal favorite what games have your personal favorite Halo multiplayer, and how does Infinite compare to those?" So
Mm,
for me, I think my favorite's always gonna be Halo 2, just because I
mhm,
think that that's the Halo game I played online the most.
mhm,
And I think that what I've been saying about Halo Infinite is that it feels very much they like they made a new game for the Master Chief Collection. They
mhm,
modernized Halo to add to the Master Chief Collection to kind of be the evolution from, like Halo 2 to whatever, I
mhm.
don't know how to explain it. To kind of modernize Halo, but not make it, Call of Duty, or to not make it Halo 5 and add
Right.
fucking jet boosters.
Absolutely had to be its own thing. Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
if it was too much like Halo 2 or Halo 3, people would complain. If it was too much like Halo 5, people would complain. If it was too much like like Modern Warfare, or if they started saying like, "Hey, we're gonna add a battle royale and we're gonna start monetizing things just like Fortnite does," like people would complain. It absolutely has to have its own identity, They need to be looked at 10 years from now, saying whatever Halo game is out then, like, hey man, this feels a lot like Halo Infinite. Like it has to have its own identity, and
Yeah.
I feel you're right. It does. Um, and I'm well. I mean, we met on Halo 2 back in
Yeah.
2005, and that was the golden age of online Xbox. It was, I mean, Halo 2 online actually paved the way for modern Xbox Live.
Yeah,
Party
definitely did.
chats, messages, all built into just the game. And I think we look back on that with rose tinted glasses, because of how different and revolutionary it was at the time. And we constantly look at new stuff with that same expectation. Like, this needs to break the wheel. It needs to reinvent it, and we need to be blown away by every aspect. And not trying to jinx it, but I feel like they did it. I honestly do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely just feels to me like they just modernized
Mhm,
Halo. You know, they brought it into this era of, esports, I guess you could say. And
mhm,
they really tried to do it with Halo 5, but they just didn't hit the mark. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They did I think they changed Halo too much to try and fit that kind of Call of Duty mold,
There
if you
was, at the
will.
time Halo 5 came out, there was a lot of games with advanced movement.
Yeah.
Like the futuristic Call of, I never played it.
Black Ops 3,
Black Ops 3 and
Advanced
Infinite War,
Warfare.
Advanced Warfare, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
They were heavy into advanced movement, sliding, grappling, the
Wall running
jump,
and shit.
wall running, jump boots, like
Yeah. Yeah,
tone it back.
exactly. All right, and then Kenny. So first of all, you mentioned battle royale, right?
Mhm.
Fun fact: people data mined the tech preview we just had, and they found audio of the announcer saying battle royale,
No.
which means that there's likely going to be a battle royale in Halo Infinite at some point in the future. Whether it's at launch, who knows? Either
They
way,
even said
will
that they weren't going to do that, but I mean,
yeah, that
people
yeah.
people want it.
Exactly. People like I'll play the shit out of it. Like I think that Halo lends itself perfectly to a battle royale. Just they already have the fucking environment made. They
Mhm,
have all the weapons you could need. So I think it'd be
mhm.
cool. But that's a whole different podcast in
Yeah,
itself.
we'll talk about that
Um,
some. That's its own video.
one more comment from the Discord. Kenny asks, I'm sure you'll address these already, but any technical issues you had or just how the performance was in general? I heard good things. Um, we kind of
Bless you.
Thank you. I was able to mute my mic for that one. It was good.
Good
Um,
timing.
yeah. So technical issues, like will lagging out of a match before it even starting, right? So that
Mhm,
happened to him many times. It happened to me a few times. The game would randomly just crash, like whether in a
mhm,
game or even in the menu at times it would just crash.
mhm.
Um, there were audio bugs. Sometimes we would load into a match and everything would be you could hear everything. It was just very quiet,
Really
but
quiet except for
but
the grunting.
except for every Spartan's grunting. So
Mhm.
everything would be quiet and be like cha cha cha, and then you just hear your Spartan going like it's like so intense. And then you would kill a guy and you would just hear that guy grunting a shit ton as
Mm.
well. Um, I'm trying to think of any other technical
A lot of it was UI
issues.
based. I had a lot of interface problems where, like, well, if you go to look at the battle pass and it's just blank squares, you wouldn't
Yeah.
actually see what they were.
Yeah, you wouldn't see what the
Same thing
rewards
going into
were.
your customization. Sometimes like the shaders wouldn't show up properly, or the armor coatings. Um, Biggest issue I had, or at least the issue that frustrated me the most was the constant switching of your AI voice person.
Yeah. So this was another thing part of the bug is that you would switch all of your settings, like your key bindings and stuff. And this was happening on PC. Neither me nor Will played on PC, but I was watching streamers a lot who were complaining about it. And every time you would close the game and reopen it, it would reset everything. So you'd have to go through,
Mhm.
reset all your key bindings, your FOV, and all that. I didn't have like the FOV problem on Xbox. I was fine. Um, but like if you selected a different AI, after at like a match, it would just go back to some random one, right? And
Mhm.
so that was annoying. Um, but I mean, obviously that's something that's a pretty
Oh
easy
yeah,
fix.
that's a clear just software bug that is, well, like you said, easily fixed. But that was the bug that frustrated me the most. Most
Yeah,
everything else was not really a problem, or at least it didn't really hinder the gameplay, and that's, to me, a good sign. At least based off of the build. What you said was 2 months ago that that build was
yeah,
where they
2 months
split off
old.
from. Um, the gameplay itself, I rarely experienced any issues. Is either networking, interface, or audio, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah, more or less. I mean, there was some weird stuff with the bots, but that's
Yes.
separate, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, Before we go, Will, we I missed a huge part. We got to talk about the abilities that are on the field. So you have your standard
Ooh.
active camo and overshield. It's worth
Mhm.
noting that if you pick one of these up, your guy doesn't use it right away, like in
Their
every other
equipment
Halo
now.
game. It's equipment, so you're carrying it with you. So and it respawns every, is it 2 minutes?
Something
Five
along those
minutes?
lines.
So
Yeah.
so so it respawns. So if I were to pick up an overshield and I stayed alive until it respawned again, Will could go pick up an overshield and we could pop both of those bad boys at the same
Mhm.
time and probably both just go die because we suck at Halo. But it is what it is, you know. We could both have it. We could both go in there and do it. Um, so everybody knows overshield and invisibility.
Mhm.
The big one everybody's talking about is the grapple hook. I posted
Mhm.
a video on Twitter, and it's a clip I took when I was streaming when I got 2 kills using the grapple hook, grapple hooking and meleeing 2 bots in a row. So that was fun.
Mhm.
What kind of cool things have you seen or done with the grapple hook, Will?
One thing I completely forgot you could do the entire time was you could grapple weapons. I
Yeah,
not once did I remember that I could do that. I had the grapple hook, and I can't tell you how many times like I was still trying to rush to get the spanker, and I could have just,
yeah,
Spider-Man it right over to myself. Um, Honestly, I was excited for the grapple hook for what it could bring, but I was nervous because I didn't want it to be like oh, what was that one game where everybody had it wasn't Crackdown, was it? I don't remember. But grapple hook was just like overused. It just created too much, well, advanced movement within the game. The fact that it has ammo is a great decision.
yes, I
You
agree.
get 3 chances to use this thing. You fuck
Yep.
it up, well, try it. Better luck next time.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's a completely different game if everybody spawns with a grapple hook.
Mhm.
And I saw people petitioning like make it let everybody spawn with a grapple hook. Like no, do not do that at all.
No.
I don't want to be trying to shoot 4 Spider-Men flying across the fucking room. Like that just doesn't sound fun to me. But yeah, I
You
had a
thought sniping was hard before.
yeah, I had a great time with the grapple hook though. Like
Mhm.
it was just it made it easy to get like across the map if I needed to. If I
Mhm.
was getting hit, I could, use that as a scapegoat to kind of just like flee the scene.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it felt really good. I saw some really cool clips of people like using it and launching themselves up in the air and then
Mhm.
sniping people, which is really cool. But I suck with the sniper, so um, yeah, grapple. The other thing was I can't remember what it was called. Will, what was the
The
other
drop wall?
ability? The what?
The drop wall?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So there was 2 more
Or
things then.
the drop wall and
The sensor, I don't know what it
the
was,
sensor. Oh my god.
but
It's gonna kill me now.
so the drop wall, you could pick up the drop wall, which gave you 2 walls, and they were kind of just like not even like quarter spheres that would drop in front of you in a way.
Mhm.
And if you put both up back to back, you essentially had the old bubble. So I mean, it's not very effective, but I could see you using it if you're trying to run from guys.
Mhm.
Like if you turn a corner and there's 2 guys, you could drop it, turn, and try and run before they,
Mhm.
take out the shield and kill you.
I felt
Um,
the drop wall took too long to open.
Yeah.
Just like a split second longer than what I would have expected. Oops, didn't mean to hit that. Than I expected it to actually open up. So if you're getting shot at, like you need to hit that immediately because it's gonna take a second or two for it to actually start protecting you.
Yeah,
I
and
did
it's
see
worth.
uh, people online, well, banking all the equipment on the map, and they popped like two or three of them and made a bubble shield.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth noting that it does work similar to the bubble shield in like other Halo games where
Mhm,
the enemy can run straight through it. So it's not like it doesn't make an obstacle for them to have to go around or anything. They can
mhm,
literally run straight through it, and it takes like two shots to take down one of the panels because it's made up of
mhm,
like 12, 15 square panels,
mhm.
are what makes it up.
I like
Um,
that idea because that way you can, if
yeah,
there's one specific spot, you can knock out one panel, put a well placed grenade in there, and
yeah,
boom, literally
yeah,
go.
exactly. And then the last piece of equipment on the field was
Threat sensor,
the pred sensor, which I think
threat
equipped. Oh, threat sensor. Sorry,
threat sensor.
a
Yeah.
pred sensor, uh, predator sensor. I think it equipped to your guy's forearm, right? And then your guy
Mhm.
would just kind of raise his arm and
Just kind of
launch
like a
it.
little grenade launcher and launched it out off your wrist.
Yeah, and that would just kind of illuminate, like wherever it landed, illuminate a certain radius around it.
Mhm.
Enemies in the area, and everybody on your team
Great
could
for
see it,
choke
not just
points.
you. Yes, great. So like I'm just thinking like, maybe you're playing King of the Hill, right? You launch one of those things in the hill and you could see where every single one of the enemies
Ooh,
is and you could
that's
go in and take
brilliant.
them
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Or
But yeah.
capture the flag, you pop it in your own base and you can get eyes before they're actually in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, this has been our first impressions video on the Halo Infinite technical preview. This went on much longer than I anticipated it going,
Yeah.
Will, but
Oh, you were extra excited for this one.
we were. Let's end by saying what we think the next technical preview will be. I think it's going to be PvP focused. I think they're gonna do kind of a similar thing where they start us out 4v4 on one map. The next day maybe they
Mhm,
add another map, and I think on the last day they're gonna turn on big team
mhm.
and really
Big
get us.
team is what I'm banking on.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe they do half and half, where half of it's 4v4, and then the second half they add big team, so that
Mhm,
we can really, like we were just doing testing and breaking weapons, we can test and break the vehicles and
mhm.
give them that feedback. But
Even
yeah,
if we don't
so
see big team, I expect to see at least the Warthog. At least.
yeah. So yeah, this has been our first impressions of the first Halo Infinite technical preview. This was flight one of who knows, two or three, four, maybe. Probably my guess is around 2 to 3 flights
Mhm,
that they're gonna do. Stay tuned right here to Pixel Street videos for more content, let's plays, podcasts, unboxings, and just Halo stuff, man. We're some Halo nerds over here, so that's what we do. Check out Will's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thepianoman23. He's been streaming Halo over there. Our whole Countdown to Infinite series is also on his Twitch page. So if you want to go see his perspective, do that. But other than that, I'm Joel, and we will see you in the next video.
take it easy.